oldest rule in the galaxy: don't mess with humans. Forgotten warnings. The Galactic Council chamber was silent as Warlord Zevik's claws clicked rhythmically against the polished obsidian floor. His tall, scaled form towered above most of the gathered representatives. For glowing eyes scanned the hall with disdain as his voice cut through the tense stillness. "A motion for the full military annexation of the Sol system," he said. "Earth will fall by week's end." A ripple of stunned murmurs followed. Some delegates turned to their aides. Others stiffened in place. Ambassador Ruin of the Zelari stood. Ancient and slow-moving, his kind had witnessed galactic empires rise and crumble. He adjusted his breathing mask, his silver tendrils quivering. "You seek to awaken the ghosts of the old war?" he asked, voice cracking with age and fear. "Have you forgotten the warning?" Zevik grinned, sharp fangs glinting. "The humans are broken. Isolationist cowards. Their fleets are rusting in dry dock, their borders stagnant. They are a myth clinging to an outdated legend." Run looked around the hall, then fixed his gaze back on the Carthari warlord. "The legend exists because we survived it. Others were not so fortunate." Laughter followed. Mostly younger species, those born long after the solar silence, who had never faced humanity. They didn't know. How could they? Zevik didn't care. Within hours, his fleet surged toward Sol, 3 full war armadas strong, armed with planetary seegers, cyberleech cannons, and orbital razors. He would claim Earth and crush the myth once and for all. 2. The invasion begins. The Sol system welcomed them with eerie silence. No defense grids activated. No planetary shields. Earth rotated below, seemingly vulnerable. Zevik ordered full descent. His shock troops landed across every continent. Skyscrapers fell. Communications were hijacked. Satellites were torn down. The entire world watched helplessly, or so it seemed. The Carthari sent out triumphant messages, broadcasting their success across the galactic networks. Their flag rose above New Tokyo. Cities were marked. Earth was theirs. For 3 days, they met no military resistance. Human civilians offered no real fight. The few acts of defiance were quickly quelled. Zevik paraded through the ruined capital of New Berlin, mocking the once feared species. "See how far they've fallen," he announced to the Dominion. "This is what fear built, a paper tiger." The next day, everything changed. 3. Revenant protocols. In the cold, desolate reaches of the Martian wasteland, a signal activated. No one noticed. Not first, but buried beneath the surface in an abandoned outpost labeled Project Revenant. Lights blinked awake for the first time in centuries. Elsewhere, on Europa, geothermal ice ruptured as old machines powered on. On Titan, a hidden archive hummed to life. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, long-forgotten bunkers pressurized and opened. And on Pluto, where no one had dared to settle since the solar silence, an AI core spoke a single word: awaken. Human sleeper cells around the galaxy stirred. They had blended in: farmers, merchants, engineers. People living ordinary lives on alien worlds, observing, listening, waiting. Then came the activation code. Just 3 words. Protocol Revenant Engage. Human civilians became tactical units. Implant restrictions lifted. Genetic locks unlocked. Memory barriers dropped. And then retaliation began. 4. Strike from the shadows. Above Earth, dark objects blinked into existence. The Carthari fleet saw them too late. No energy readings. No propulsion trails. No warning. The first human dreadcraft unleashed kinetic slugs at 80% light speed. They didn't explode, they erased. Carthari cruisers disappeared from reality. No debris. No wreckage. No escape. Zevik screamed orders to engage. Fighters scrambled. Missiles launched. But nothing hit. The black ships danced between attacks like ghosts. Some phased through reality. Others fractured into thousands of microcraft that slipped past shields and tore into hulls. In less than 5 minutes, Earth's orbit was clean. Zevik stared in disbelief. Ow! Then came the message. Across every screen, every implant, every neural relay. Soul system status breached. Enforcement activated. You were warned. The voice was emotionless, pure, synthetic and human at once. And then silence. Not just absence of sound. Communication relays went dark. Galnet access was terminated. The Carthari fleet was isolated. One by one, their ships fell. Zevik fled. The old fleet returns. The council panicked. They tried to reach Earth. Nothing. Some tried to warn Zevik, but he'd already jumped to hyperspace. Fools, they muttered. He brought this upon them all. Then a new horror emerged. On the edge of the Delta Quadrant, a forgotten human fleet reappeared. 7 titanic vessels, ancient, silent, encased in gravitic armor, emerged from temporal suspension, each ship the size of a small moon. The Council scrambled ships to intercept. Those ships never returned. In Council records, the event was labeled the Second Silence. Entire sectors went dark. No warning. No conflict. Just absence. The humans weren't attacking planets. They were removing threats. Selectively. Precisely. Surgically. 6. The last mistake. Zevik arrived on his homeworld, Carther Prime, expecting safe harbor. Instead, he found fire. The sky was red with atmospheric burns. Cities burned under invisible bombardment. The Dominion's greatest fortress, the Iron Bastion, vanished before his eyes, crumbling like paper as a black lance of light passed through it. He ran, abandoned his identity, removed his implants, took a civilian form. But it didn't matter. Humans weren't hunting him. They didn't need to. He was already marked. A simple pulse traced through the quantum layers of reality. A beacon tied to his DNA. He begged. He cried. But no one came to help. Until they did. 2 humans. Unarmed. Clothed in simple gray robes. Standing amid the ashes. He fell to his knees. Mercy. One of them knelt beside him. We gave mercy when we left the galaxy alone. We chose peace. You chose war. Zevik sobbed. You're monsters. The human shook his head. No, we're the reason there's still a galaxy left to argue in. He reached forward. Zevik vanished. 7. Council reckoning. With Zevik's fall, the Galactic Council called an emergency summit. Every species arrived. The humans did not. Instead, a device was delivered. A cube, hovering silently. It projected a single phrase. We have no interest in conquest. Only memory. You forgot the rule. Now you will remember. Delegates stared at each other. Some wept. Others fled. From that moment forward, a new policy passed unanimously. No species shall engage, provoke, or antagonize humanity or its allies. Punishment would be absolute. No one objected. They didn't need to. 8. The new generation learns. Years passed. Humanity never invaded. They didn't demand reparations. They didn't send diplomats. They simply vanished again. But now, every schoolchild across the galaxy was taught one rule on their first day. Never start a war with a human. Some asked why. Their teachers would lower their voices and say, because we're here to warn you. The Carthari race scattered. Remnants hid in deep space. Their civilization reduced to myths and fragments. And Earth? It glowed softly in the void, surrounded by guardian ships that shimmered between dimensions, silent and eternal. 9. The Forgotten Files. 1,000 years later, A curious archivist of the Veltari found an old human data crystal buried beneath a library destroyed in the first wave. It contained a message, a human child's voice. Hi, if you're hearing this, then we had to defend ourselves again. We didn't want to. We like stories and music and playing in rivers. But we'll always protect our home. Always. Then a pause. And we'll always forgive. Someday, the file ended. The archivist closed the file with trembling fingers. She looked up at the stars, and she wept. X, rule eternal. The galaxy turned slowly. Species rose. Empires fell. But one phrase endured, not through law or war, but through truth passed down generation after generation. Don't mess with humans, because they are peace until they are not, because they are mercy until mercy runs out, because they remember everything, and they wait, and when they rise, nothing survives unless they let it.